Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny and I am a card maker and paper crafting engineer. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting tutorials and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. Today's video is brought to you by a wonderful Canadian craft store called Scrap of Paradise. It is my pleasure and I'm honored to be able to create a project for Scrap of Paradise today. In today's video, I'm going to be working with a stamp set from Craft Consortium from the Polar Playtime series. And the set that I'll be using today is called Make a Splash. Crafters Consortium has tons of beautiful and elegant stamps, as well as a fun line of Polar Playtime stamps as well. They also carry a line of pattern paper and decoupage paper as well that you can check out on the Scrap of Paradise website at scrapofparadise.ca. Let's get into today's project. So for my supplies, I have a mini Misti, I've got some cardstock and the stamp, and I'm going to be using some JennyCardDesigns Amalgam Ink, and this is the Obsidian Amalgam Ink. It is a alcohol marker friendly ink, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be coloring up some of these images. So I'm going to pull off the little baby seal, as well as the little igloo and the little sign that says South Pole. I'll get all of those loaded up onto my cardstock and get them picked up with the door of the Misti, and make sure that my cardstock is positioned in the corner in case that I need to restamp. And I'll ink up these stamps nice and good with my Obsidian Amalgam Ink, close the door of my Misti and press. I get a nice stamped image. I'll clean off the stamps. I like to clean as I go to make sure I don't create a big mess. So I'll get those stamps removed off the door of my Misti, and then we'll get into some coloring. Now for all of the colors that I use today, I'm going to list them in the right hand corner of the screen, and I'll zoom in nice and close so we get a good look at what I'm doing here. I'll play a little bit of music, and I will just interject with a few tips on alcohol marker coloring, and then I'll catch you back on the other side. Whenever I'm coloring with alcohol markers, I always start with the lightest color and saturate my image, and then go back and add in the mid-tone color and then the darkest color, and then go back to the lightest color to blend everything together. So that's what I'm doing here today for all of these images. I first started coloring my seal with the BG10 Copic marker, but I wasn't quite happy with that color. So I pulled in some Touch 5 alcohol markers, and these are just some cheap alcohol markers, and I used some blue grays just to give that seal a little bit more of a seal look instead of a blue icy look. So and I like the way he turns out. Okay, now that my coloring is all done, I'm going to fussy cut out all of these images. I just used some super sharp scissors and just trim slowly around the outside of my images, leaving a little skinny white border. I like the way that this looks. I find that if ever I try to fussy cut right up to the line, I never do a good job and I kind of botch it. So I like to leave this little skinny white border, and I'm happy with my fussy cutting. Now this is sped up by 3 times fast because I'm super duper slow at fussy cutting. I just wanted to show my process and how I do the fussy cutting, and I'm happy with that. And I'll go ahead and finish cutting out all of these images, and then I'm going to flip through this paper pad. This paper pad is from Carta Bella. It is a 6x6 paper pad with double-sided papers. It's 65-pound cardstock, and the name of this paper is called Snow Much Fun. So I think this is really cute, and it coordinates nicely with my little seal. So I pick out a nice pattern, and coincidentally, I like the pattern on the back side of this piece of paper. So when I cut it up to fit it onto my card base, I flip the other piece around to use the trees sort of for a background to create a scene for my seal. And then I decided we need a little bit of a hill. I found that it was too sort of straight and I didn't like the transition. So I'm going to grab a pencil and I'm going to draw a little hill on the bottom of my little snowflake pattern paper. And then I'll just take my scissors and slowly cut along my little hills. And then when I'm happy with that, I will get everything adhered down to my card base. So I'll start with my trees. I'll glue those down, and then I'll glue my snowy hill background over top of my trees, and I really like the way that looks. And then I'm going to start fussing with my little images and see where I want to lay them out. And I decided to put the seal on the right and the little igloo sort of up on top of the hill. So I think that's nice and cute. And then I'll put the little South Pole sign right behind the igloo. I'm going to use some foam squares to pop up all of my images to give it some nice dimension. And I use this little roll of foam squares that I get from the dollar store. Super cheap. And they're already pre-cut, so I just have to peel the little sticker backing off and stick them to my images, and we're ready to go. So I like the way this looks so far. There was a little sliver of pattern paper on the right hand side of this card that was driving me nuts. So I just grabbed my craft knife and just sort of ran my knife across the side of that to remove that little sliver, and that worked perfectly. And then I grabbed some gems from Pretty Pink Posh. Now these are something that I got from Scrap of Paradise. They carry a whole line of these gems, and they're so pretty. They're so sparkly, and I have a whole bunch of them. I'm really addicted to them. So I used my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I glued down a bunch of gems, and then I felt like it was sort of missing something. I wasn't quite happy with that. So I went back to the paper pad and I found this little cut apart, and I liked the sentiment here that said "Hello Winter." I thought it went nicely with my little scene. So I decided to trim that out with my scissors, and I'm going to reposition some of those little jewels. So I'm just going to pick them up and move them. They're not quite dry yet. They're sticky. If my adhesive ripped the cardstock behind, it's going to get covered up with this little sentiment. So I reposition my gems and get this little sentiment strip adhered down, and then I think I'm happy with the way that looks. I did glue down a few more gems over top of that pattern and over top of the eye in the word winter, just to make that sparkle too. And I like the way that looks. Here's a close-up look at those sparkly gems. There are a bunch of different colors in this little mix here. It's got some blues and aquas and whites. Really pretty. Okay, that's it for today's project. Here's a close-up look at our finished card. I think this is a really super cute card, and there's so many possibilities with those Craft Consortium stamps. I think it's really cool that they have little sets that coordinate with each other. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I appreciate you being here. And thank you for Scrap of Paradise for sponsoring this video today. You can check out all the products that I used in this video at scrapofparadise.ca. And Sarah, the owner, will be glad to help you place any order that you wish. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.